Hi everyone, so today I'm here to talk to you about creating your newborn's first wardrobe checklist. Now this can be a really exciting time choosing all the beautiful pieces that your baby's going to need in their first wardrobe, but it can also be overwhelming if you've never had to buy things for a little one before. So we have a fabulous checklist here, and this is the checklist that we do have available on our website for you to jump on and check out and download potentially and use. I love checklists, I think they're great. You can tick off things as you go. It can be a really practical and useful way to get started when you are trying to put together your little one's first wardrobe. So some of the things you really want to consider when you are putting that checklist together are fabrics, of course, because you want to be buying fabrics that are safe for your little one, breathable and sustainable, and our products here at Purebaby are natural fibres, so organic cotton. We do have some wool, so looking for natural fibres is really important. Another thing you want to consider too before you do start purchasing items is the sizing. So typically a newborn baby is born between 3 and 4 kilos. So typically that baby will fit into what we have, what we call a newborn size, or a 4-0. So that's a great place to get started when you are putting together your hospital checklist as well as your first wardrobe checklist. The next size up is 0 to 3 months, or 000, will swim on most newborn babies because it is designed to fit a baby up to 3 months of age. So it will be a little bit big. So we do tend to recommend that you buy the 4-0 as a starting point when you're putting your wardrobe together. Another thing to consider is quality and longevity of products, and I think it is a really good thing to think about when you are purchasing garments, to think about buying things that are neutral potentially, because then they can be used over multiple children. And obviously buying quality is great too, because you want to be able to wash and wear those items a number of times and be able to pass them down to future subsequent children, or pass them on to friends and families. So buying good quality garments that will wash really well, which they do at Purebaby, is another really great consideration to think about. So first things first, when you are thinking about putting your checklist together, is buying your basics and things like that first. So you're going to need singlets, lots of singlets. That's that first item that goes on your little one as that first layer, and layering is really important when it comes to dressing newborns. So singlets is a great place to start, and then obviously muslins and wraps and things like that as well. Now when you're purchasing singlets, we've got our traditional singlet and our bodysuit singlet. They're both fabulous. As I said, singlets are important as a first layer, and you will need probably 4 to 6 of those to get started if you are putting together some things for your first wardrobe and for your little one. And when you are purchasing singlets, always looking for rib styles that are nice and fitted, that are the right size for your little one, so there's no air pockets, baby's not going to feel cold. And in summertime they provide that layer that can absorb the sweat, keep the baby nice and comfortable throughout those warmer months, and then in winter obviously provide an extra layer of warmth. So they are really vital, one of those essential items that you need to have in your little one's wardrobe. Now muslins is another great one. I love chatting about muslin wraps. We've got some here. This is one of our 2-packs, and muslins are great because very versatile, great for summertime for swaddling your baby, as well as using as a makeshift sheet on a hot night, or using as a burp cloth. There's multiple uses for our wraps, but muslins are particularly good because they're very, very lightweight, will dry super quick. So that's a couple of things before we jump into going through all these other items on the checklist here today. So when you're creating your first wardrobe, some of the first things you want to think about are the really practical items, and typically the most sought after item that we have here at Purebaby are growsuits. So we've got some growsuits here that I've picked out. So we've got one that with feet, and then we've got one without feet. The one with feet are particularly good for newborns because you don't have to worry about losing little socks and booties, and these have inbuilt mittens to stop baby from scratching their face. They have a little safety cover to stop the zip from scratching. A dual zip is always great when you've got to change a lot of nappies, and we've got a dual zip so you can unzip to the middle, change the nappy, and so forth, middle of the night. Very, very easy. And these are just so practical. Obviously having a couple without feet might be great as well for more longevity of use, and the fact that you know these might be good for those transseasonal periods. So these will have very, very similar features and benefits, but you're probably going to need to have about 4 to 6 of those, or you might want to include some sleep suits in that as well. So we've got growsuits there as being part of that wardrobe checklist, but you could include Some sleep suits as being another option for nighttime, and these ones are great because they've got an open elastic bottom, so they're like a nightie, and you use that instead of using a grow suit at night. And this has a fold over bit so that you can prevent any airflow coming up, or on a very hot night you can just leave it open. And you can dress the baby from the bottom up with this because you've got an envelope neckline. These also have built-in mittens, so this can be in combination with the grow suits if you're purchasing the grow suit. So it does say 4 to 6 there, but you can include the sleep suits as being part of that. So you could maybe purchase 2 sleep suits and 4 grow suits, or a combination, whatever suits you, but that's another consideration. So the next thing on the list, we've got tops. So here's a couple of options. Bodysuit tops are also really a great one. You can obviously purchase tops that don't have the bodysuit section, but these are really good because they hold everything into place, and you can obviously put this with your pants and leggings and things like that. So we've got 2 tops on that list, and long sleeve tops are great for newborns because they do tend to feel the cold a bit more. If you've got summer coming on, you can obviously choose some t-shirts or short sleeve bodysuits and things like that too, but it's definitely a good place to start with 2 of those. Then we move on to cardigans. Now cardigans are such an essential piece. Great for layering all year round. You want to start with probably at least 4 cardigans. Now we've just got 2 here as an example. Cardigans are a must have in the nappy bag as well. So you will find you use a lot of cardigans, and they are, as I said, great layering pieces. Great to maybe choose in those summer months, some basic cotton ones, and then in winter you might include some that have a bit of wool in them as well. So we'll jump into the next thing, which is our leggings. Leggings and pants. So we've got a couple of options here, just a basic legging without feet. We've got another one here that's a knitted version. We do have some with feet, so you could choose some with feet as well. And you want to be choosing probably a couple of pairs of leggings or pants to go back with your long sleeve tops, etc. And then maybe putting a cardigan or something over the top. But leggings are just such a great piece, and you'll find that you'll probably use a lot of leggings as the baby grows as well and starts moving around a lot more. So leggings are a great one. Then we move on to now warm jackets. I don't have any warm jackets here to show you today, but we do have lots of those in those cooler months. So I definitely recommend that you pick some up when we are in the cooler months, and probably getting some nice padded hooded jackets are a good place to start because they're going to be really movable and comfortable, easy for them to wear, great to put on when you've got your baby in a carrier out and about in those cooler days. So two warmer jackets is a great place to start. Then we jump into talking about hats and beanies. So when you're talking about hats and beanies, obviously for winter you want to have a knitted beanie, and then you've got your traditional hats, little night hats like this, which are great. And then you've got sun hats for summer, obviously, that are really important too. So you're probably going to need 2 hats at least. One just a basic hat, and then for summer you might have a sun hat, and then for winter you might have the beanie with a little bit of wool in it. So hats are really important to wear to keep the baby's head protected from the sun, obviously, when you're out and about, and then on those cold days stop the heat from escaping from the top of their head. They do have an open fontanelle where they'll lose most of the heat through the top of their head, so it's important to keep their head warm. It's always important too to consider removing hats when babies are sleeping, because it isn't recommended by SIDS that babies do wear hats when they are sleeping. Next thing quickly you want to consider is some essentials like mittens and booties, particularly for those cooler months. So mittens basically are there to stop the baby from scratching their face when they're newborns, and you may have some grow suits or long sleeve tops that don't have built-in mittens, so you want to have some mittens you can put on when the baby is going to get their hands up near their face. Obviously on those really cold days too, you can put them on over the top of a built-in mitten to keep their hands nice and warm. Then you've got booties, and the booties are important because you're going to need to keep their feet warm on those cooler days and nights. So you're probably going to need 3 of each of those. Then you've got things like bunny rugs, and bunny rugs are great for a number of purposes. Can be used for swaddling in those cooler months, as long as you're aware of what the baby's wearing underneath and don't overdress them. But great as a makeshift burp cloth because it's a bit thicker than a muslin even, and a makeshift change mat can be great for lots of purposes. In the pram, it's great as a bit of a I guess something that you would use as a makeshift blanket on those say warmer days, but you just need something to throw at the baby. They're a great size as a little bit of a blanket. So you're going to need to have probably at least 2 bunny rugs. Then you've got dressy outfits. Now that might sound a bit silly, but I've got a couple of options here, a boy and a girl. Obviously there's some suggestions, but dressy outfits for those special occasions like birthdays, family gatherings, photo opportunities where you might take milestone photos of your little one as they're growing each week. So having some nice outfits to choose from as well is another great tip. Then you want to consider having some blankets, and I've just chosen a couple here. So we've got just our basic essentials blanket, which is great, just a simple lightweight cotton blanket, and then you might choose one that's a little bit heavier. This is a beautiful feather style here. But blankets are just so important, particularly in those cooler months, but then even when you're out and about on a cold day in a pram, it's good to have a blanket there as a bit of a backup. And even in the bassinet or the cradle or whatever it is that you're using, you will still on those cooler nights use the lightweight blankets. Then you've got towels. So towels are another important element to consider when you are purchasing items for your little one. Babies do need to have their own towel. We do recommend usually about 3, but 2 to 3 is a good place to start. Hooded towels are great because they're going to keep the baby's head nice and warm, and it makes for easy drying as well. So towels are another great one. Again, looking for natural fibres with all of these products. So yeah, 2 to 3 towels. Then we've got bibs. Now bibs are really great because for a number of reasons, obviously to stop them as they start to eat food from soiling all of their clothing, but when they are newborns, when you're feeding constantly, whether it be breastfeeding or bottle feeding, you will find that they will spit up a bit of milk and there will be dribble. So you want to make sure that you've got a bib on to prevent you having to wash their whole outfit every time they dribble or spit up. So having bibs can really save you some washing. So probably at least 3 bibs would be definitely recommended for newborn. And then when you're thinking about sheet sets, we've got a set here, as I said, a cot sheet set. I'll just bring it over so you can see it a bit better. So cot sheet sets are important, or bassinet and cradle, whichever you are using to sleep your baby in. Now, you want to be considering purchasing at least 3. So you have 1 in the wash, 1 in use, and then 1 in the cupboard as a backup when you're purchasing sheets. So that's a really hot tip there. And then you've got hairbrushes. Now, hairbrushes is another item you really want to be considering. And hairbrushes are great to stimulate hair growth, remove old hair, and also to get rid of any cradle cap that might be forming, and then stimulate, yeah, as I said, new hair growth, and then maybe even use as a bit of a massage tool on the baby's arms and legs, which is beautiful. This is a goat's hairbrush that we have here at Purebaby. Beautiful and soft and a great product to have, particularly around bath time and things as well. Comforters, as I mentioned, so comforters or soft toys, maybe 1 to 2 of those. The reason why I say maybe 2 and maybe even 3 for some people is that once the baby is able to have a comforter or a toy in their sleep space, which is usually from about 7 months of age, they will potentially get attached to a toy. So it's good to have a couple of those, either in rotation, so they get used to the smell of each one, or even rotating different toys so they don't get used to just one. Or if they do get attached to just one, make sure you buy a multiple. So if they lose it, you've got another one there, so they won't struggle to sleep when it comes to sleep time, because often that does become a bit of a cue for sleep, is having their comforter or their toy with them as they get older. So there are a couple of hot tips there. Now another thing you might want to consider is if you are going to be having a baby that's comes before term, so a premature baby, we do have a great range of Premie clothing. I've got a couple here to show you, just as examples. This is our kimono style growsuit, which opens all the way up, which is great for babies in NICU, or great for little ones that you don't want to be pulling things over their head. You can open it all the way up and then place the baby on that. So Premie clothing is something you really want to consider if you are going to have a baby that's coming early or it's a bit smaller. And we start at 1 kilo with the Premie, so 1 kilo, 2 kilo and 3 kilo, the sizes we make. We've got beautiful singlets as well that you can wear underneath the clothing or on their own on days when it might just need to have a nappy and a singlet on, for example. So Premie clothing is another thing that we can help you out with if you are looking to purchase some items on your first wardrobe checklist. Your baby is coming early. We do have quite an extensive range of Premie clothing for girl and boy and neutral, so there's plenty there to choose from. And another really great tip is to potentially look at sharing your checklist with your family members. If they're asking to purchase things for you, you can create even a gift registry on our website, and then you can give people the code to access that gift registry, and then they can jump on and they can actually purchase things that you might need and want. So that's another really great tip. And of course you can just send them a list, but it can be a great idea to have create a gift registry for your newborn, for your newborn's first wardrobe. So I hope this has been useful and helpful for you today. Thank you so much for your time, and it's really exciting to start collecting items for your little one's first wardrobe, so I hope this has been useful for you today. Have a great day, everyone.